Guten Morgen.
Good morning, Daddy. Has it been an exciting time for us with so much happening?
Such a high. I read my Capricorn moon sign last night, and this is the beginning. This is going to be the most remarkable beginning in your life that you'll never go back to your old life. It'll always be exciting and happy. I'm just on such a high.
Yeah,
I can't come down.
Well, we love that. Actually, we've had, was it Georgiana Levine? She came on. She was an astrologer that was telling us all about star signs. Listening to her, I love all that, and I always think if it's good stuff there, I believe it.
If it's bad, I don't know about signs.
That. But so much has been happening, and also we want to let you know too. We're actually talking about with the growing. I think now you know that we've got a Over the Money fence, and that's on every month with Roger Montgomery.
God, that's been fun. Can you say that?
Oh, isn't it?
No,
fun?
who can say that about finance?
I know
it's fun.
I know. You was calling it sexy, weren't you?
He's
Tom Cruise. He doesn't like us saying that, but
no,
sorry, but it's...
We say what we say. It's our potty.
Exactly, that's right, exactly. But tune into that one if you haven't. It's on every month. But you know what we're actually doing now? Coming up is, or actually you might have even heard the first one now, a fortnightly Friday bite size. And it's just a chat. It's just a Nicola and Didy little, 10 minutes sort of like chit-chat.
Yeah.
I don't know, from everything from kissing to...
the last one was, the one that's coming out.
Yeah.
I think the element was, or the basic river running through the conversation was, don't be afraid to make a move if you're single, because there's a lot of women out there afraid to step into it. And it was just us, Nicola and I, chatting about our feelings about that. So stay tuned. Stay
tuned to that one. So we'll all have different topics
it's all about
right in
hashing.
There. And so that's going to be the edition one as well. But also our big news is too, and it's been a great big thing, is we've created, and it's be coming out on June the 19th, the Back Fencer Over the Back Fence live event with us two hosting it, MCs. And who have we got, Di? It's incredible.
It's incredible. Like, we'll never shut up. So no one will get a word. No, lots of drinks. That's essential. Lots of fabulous
Lisa
food.
McGuigan.
We've got amazing entertainment on the night, but we've got a couple of guest speakers, one being Lisa McGuigan Wines, and she is so entertaining. Yeah. I won't say any more because that's a little surprise.
There's going to be some surprises there.
And a woman we were just discussing with our next guest, Alex Andrews.
Alex Andrews is executive business life coach. Now, all our panel guests too have all been guests on on our podcast. So it's sort of kind of fun that you might sort of know them. And what exciting one who's coming up from Melbourne, who really is so difficult to see. Yeah. It's a really universal thing. You just can't go and see him. Is David,
and he goes to thousands, doesn't he? When he does his manifestation,
he does a 22-minute manifestation, which does. But he was in Sydney. It was a complete sort of sellout at the Opera House. So. Just to get to see David the medium.
Not what you know.
And expect the unexpected, but really, this is a gift to see him. We're really honoured.
And Tom Cruise is coming.
Now, who have we got there? Roger Montgomery is going to be in the house as well, which is good.
Bit of Tom.
And we're going to have a few words also from Lisa Walker. She was on with Air Women with Year of Yes.
It's a great variety. And look, when I say the entertainment, you're going to laugh till you cry. So look, guys, go on to the Instagram Over the Back Fence.
There's a link there.
There's a link to the ticket.
Because they're already starting to sell.
Yeah.
We've just
and
put
remember,
it up.
it's all food and wine and everything, and it is going fast. And look, we were going to give it firstly to listeners, but everyone said quickly get it out there. So that's why we're telling you now. Yeah. Get in while you can and bring a friend. It'll be
also,
a great night.
We're also going to give a little percentage. We like to give back, and so to Oz Harvest, Ronnie Khan.
Very dear to our
So
hearts.
we all love that, and so part of the percentage of this guys is a give back.
Yeah,
so
we've had Ronnie on the podcast.
That's what we're all about.
She was very popular. Yeah, it was amazing.
Ronnie Khan is talk
about manifesting.
Yeah,
who did she want to come out for that gig that she did?
Bob Geldof.
Yep, and she
Sir
got
Bob.
him.
She did.
Manifest.
I'm all about a vision.
Hey,
all about a vision.
Hey, I think that's a Capricorn
honestly,
voice that we can hear.
I also just want to say I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it was a random one, but I was enjoying the conversation, and the guy said that someone had DM'd him about happy birthday, and then he rang this woman back and said, thank you, another bloody go around the sun, and he said feeling older and aging, whatever, and the girl who only had so long to live said to him, What a privilege.
Indeed.
What a privilege to be aging.
Indeed.
I've got goosebumps from every finger down to my toes right now. Whoa.
You know what? It's a great reminder, isn't it? Because, we're all at different stages and you feel different things there and, another year or whatever, but it truly is, and it does come back to what is important in life, and it's sort of relationships, and if we're lucky enough to be here, it's sort of kind of make the most of it. And life is full of ups and downs and a whole lot of things there, but it's
and
the balance of life.
I think it's a great way to lead into our guest.
We are really thrilled, and I know I believe
you're a privilege
you learn
to have
something
here.
new every day, and I'm learning more about our guest also. Let me introduce you is Michele Chevalley Hedge, who I believe is a Capricorn as well.
Yeah, give me a high five.
I love Capricorn.
So I think they've got a lot of good strengths and character.
Vibe,
what is it? The goat? Is it that just goes up the hill or something?
No, up the cliff.
Up the cliff,
face.
is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we've got
even if the cliff is rocky, we go up.
Yeah, we can make it. And if we can't, we bloody well will.
Well, I'm surrounded by two goats at the back fence today, so I'm loving it. So let me tell you a little bit about Michele if you don't already know her. She's a qualified nutritionist. She's a best-selling author, which we've got some of the books here. Love them. An international speaker, a former Microsoft executive, and now she's focused on helping women feel energised, balanced and empowered without giving up life's pleasures. Now, we knew she's a mum of three, and we actually knew that she was our type of person and friend because I believe it's all A-OK to have a bit of a glass of red wine, a piccolo, some dark chocolate, because that's exactly, they're my favourite things here.
Real.
So there's so much to talk about, Michele. So let's dive in. Welcome to the back
Thank
bench.
you. I actually have to admit, I'm not sure if I actually trust people that don't like coffee, wine, and a bit of chocolate. So
I love that.
I'm really happy
I'm
to be
with
here.
you, babe. Let me tell you, 100% with you, because dark chocolate I have every night of my life. There's so many ways to start with you, but I thought the best way was from the corporate world to nutrition, to psychology. I just thought, talking to you is like looking at the full circle of life. So when we're going to discuss nutrition, because often when you talk to someone that goes down that road, it's quite academic, the approach. So I want to throw to you right now, I thought a good start would be energy levels.
Oh, energy levels. That is the key to everything. Whether we're the CEO of a bank or we're the CEO of a home or doing podcasts, and everything is about energy. Yeah. So let's talk. What do you want to talk about? How do I keep our energy levels throughout the day?
Everyone's burnt out.
Yeah, a lot of big burnout.
Help.
Yes. Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to redefine health, right? So let's just redefine the whole conversation and talk about health equity, about building the greatest asset that we have, right? You talked about your friend Roger Montgomery earlier.
Yes.
Well, you're
and,
good.
and
10 out of 10 for that one.
Yeah, I remember that. Right? But you talked
We only remember Tom Cruise when we get Roger's name. Sorry.
But I remember in his podcast with you, he talks about it's not about financial equity. He was talking about relationship equity. Well, I want to take it straight back to health equity, because if we don't have our health and energy, who cares how much money we have? And we can't build relationships when we come from a foundation of nothing. So, right?
Oh, boom.
Yeah.
Talking
It's
our
so
language.
true. You know what? Get to the nuts and bolts. And, sometimes you have to go to like nearly the most obvious basic thing.
Oh, this is great.
And
I'm loving
it's
this.
such good
Yeah,
reminders, Michele.
Keep it up. I'm
And
loving it.
particularly your audience and all of our friends are females that are big nourishers, right? But they forget to nourish themselves. And if we don't come from a foundation of feeding ourselves well, nourishing ourselves that way, but also emotionally, mentally, and physically, and including sleep, exercise, and stress hacks, what I'd say the 4 pillars of well-being are, and we're coming from an empty well. How are we going to be able to communicate effectively? How are we going to be able to strategically think, creatively think, have vibrancy, have energy, all the things that define well-being? A scale doesn't define well-being. A scale bloody measures gravity, right? Not your good heart, not your purpose, not all the zing that you girls have.
Wow, it's like Taryn Brumfitt, who was the Australian of the Year a couple of years ago. It's exactly the same thing with the scale. What's with the scale, but it's
I know the scouse she used to meet her husband. Remember that?
She did. The second husband, it was the first wife.
It was the first wife. Married him on Bumble.
So it's relationships.
Yeah. So where do we start if we're burnt? As in, you were breaking down. I love all those fundamentals.
So true.
Great, really broad thinking, big open thinking. But let's just say someone's going, okay, I'm going home tonight. The kids will be screaming. I've been at work all day and I'm burnt anyway, and I'm at work burnt. What's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 ways to sort of look at change?
Yeah, I get that, right? Because I was working at Microsoft as a marketing manager, and I had 3 children, a messy house, a dumb dog, lots of loads of laundry.
We love our dumb dogs.
Oh, yeah, I love my dumb dog. But, I totally get that space. So what are the couple of things that we can do to prioritize?
Yeah.
They have to be tiny little nudges of well-being, Di. Because if these nudges or habits or changes are too big, people will not be able to continue them. Then they'll go backwards, and then they'll beat themselves up for not being able to achieve. So the thing is about small, tiny habits. So I would say if you're that woman that's coming home to a house that needs to be tidied up and food needs to be fed and all of that, prioritize what is really important. And that might be just getting a meal on the table so you can have that connection. After dinner, doing whatever you need to do, but then perhaps forget about some of the stuff that has to be done and get yourself into a bath.
Oh, I love it.
Get yourself with a cup of rooibos tea, which is full of magnesium, and maybe an Epsom salt bath. Yes, there's always going to be laundry to do. Yes, there's always going to be a messy kitchen. But you know what? If you don't start building this foundation of you, there's going to be no butterfly effect into the workplace or into your home life.
Wow, it's
Did you just get lost in those words?
I did.
I was in the bath, not with you, but I'm in the bath.
Michelle, is it? But I'm so. I love everything you said. I love your question so much, Di. There too. But is it then the mindset? Because you're still, they're coming in, and it's like then going, well, it's still easier said than done. Like, you're frazzled, and it can be an overload. Do they just stop, or what? How do you give yourself that when you haven't done that for so long?
I think that's very difficult, Nicola, but I also think it's a necessity because we all know we're sitting here right now as 4 women, 1 out of 8 women in Australia being diagnosed with breast cancer, 1 out of 6 men being diagnosed with prostate cancer. I'm Cure Cancer's nutritional ambassador, and I'm a mad researcher, right?
Love you.
We know that stress, we know that frenetic paces of life, we know that poor sleep quality, we know that illness, autoimmunity, cancer, it's multifactorial, let alone talking about depression, anxiety, and mood disorders and mental health, right? It's multifactorial. It has to be a priority to nourish ourselves, even if it's the tiniest little nudge. If we do tiny little nudges weekly, right?
I love what you were just saying. So you were at the bar. I love that. Kids, there's whatever you're doing, I'm going to have a bath, switch off, close the door. Give me something else that you can do when someone's burnt.
I think one of the biggest things that people can do, men or women, and when they're burnt, is to really start to prioritize their sleep, right? So that means getting yourself in a really good sleep routine. 1, checking out that you're not feeding yourself hidden sugars and jacking yourself up so that you're tired but wired. So what are you consuming before bed, including all this noise that we're watching on TV, right? That's crazy. So I'm talking about not only nourishing yourself visually, but also nourishing yourself, what you feed yourself, so that you can get into bed and not be tired but wired, so that you can have this super cleansing thing that happens to our brain during the evening, where we actually cleanse the same way our lymphatic system cleanses during the day. Our brain cleanses in the evening with the lymphatic system, right? And then you wake up, and we all know the difference between being gorgeous and grumpy could be 1 good night's sleep, right?
Correct.
Or what about when you wake up with a hangover or something? Like it's dreadful, isn't it? We all have, and so people sometimes, if they are wired and there's stress, they'll go straight and hit, like the booze and whatever, and then I guess it adds to it all. And we've all been there, done that.
Oh,
but just
Nicola,
the difference,
I used to be the human vacuum.
Yeah.
My husband would say to me when I was working at Microsoft, so you go along all day and eat really healthy. Then at night you knock back those 2 Pinots and the whole cheese board's gone. What's wrong with you?
That's true.
But this is what happens.
Everything in moderation.
Exactly.
So, but I think it's so important that we all hear reminders of that too, because with sleep, and it is those things. I actually like too is with the eye mask. I always think I like a dark sort of space, but I love the ones now. They actually sort of like you pop with the eyes, you put the whole thing around your ears,
Yes.
so it stops the sound and the whole thing.
Yes.
It's a real like a blanket around you. It's a comfort.
What's another way to enhance your sleep? Because I reckon that's the number one issue and problem in the 21st century is a good amount of sleep.
It is absolutely dying.
well-being.
And people say to me, Michelle, but you're a nutritional medicine practitioner. You shouldn't focus so much on sleep. But we know this intuitively. When we sleep well, we tend to eat better. We tend to then have the desire to exercise. We absolutely have the ability to stress manage and have a few more hacks available to us. If we don't sleep well, we know all those things are out of kilter. So it's the knock-on effect of sleep. So prioritizing our sleep. So one of the things is, what are you consuming during the day? One of those things has to be bumping up our protein, because protein breaks down to tryptophan. Tryptophan is a precursor to melatonin, our sleep hormone. The other thing is watching out for hidden sugars throughout the day.
So when you say more protein, I get confused with this because I'll be honest with you, I don't eat enough meat. I like fish.
Yes.
I like chicken.
Okay. Tick. We love that.
Yeah.
So protein can be eggs, milk, cheese.
I love
Yes,
eggs.
you like eggs.
Yes,
And
I do.
if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, it can be lentils, it can be chickpeas, it can be all your
They give me
legumes.
wind.
Yeah, they really do. You can build up to
Windy
those
woo.
slowly.
Yeah, now I'm dating someone. It's like, no, I don't even want hummus, thanks.
No, we don't. When we're dating someone new, we don't want any bloated tummies.
No,
we want
no.
fluffy floaters, no
Yeah.
pellet poos. Like that's important.
I haven't thought about that, but quite honestly,
is
while we don't talk
so-
about it, it's essential.
Well-
What goes in comes out.
Absolutely.
You know what?
let's
But I
hope.
love the thing there, Michelle. It's the small nudges that I think sort of everyone listening to it. It is those sort of simple reminders. Now, apart from sleep, what are some other sort of things as well?
Okay, let's just go back just quickly to Di's question about what can we do to add to our sleep. Well, of course, there's different supplementation out there like melatonin. There's things like NeuroCalm Sleep. There's valerian. There's all sorts of those types of supplements. However, I always say food first before supplements. But also just don't forget about those magnesium-rich things. We call magnesium the great
What are they?
calmer.
Tell me. What are we going to take during the day with more magnesium?
So like a rooibos tea at night is full of magnesium.
I used to buy that.
A magnesium bath in the evening, which is your Epsom salt bath. And that is, our skin is our greatest organ. So the Epsom salts and the magnesium is absorbing through your skin.
You can also, if you haven't got a bath or anything too, you can actually get the
Get the
spray.
spray
You can get the
and
spray
the
or get
oil.
an oil to put in your body,
And on your feet
exactly.
too. You're right.
It's
The
really
pads on
good.
your
Yeah.
feet. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great
And
point.
then just eating real whole foods, nuts, almonds, seeds,
At night?
green leafy vegetables
No,
throughout
during
the
the
day.
day,
Throughout
sorry.
the day.
Well, you're
because
you're
you're
nutty.
My
She's
diet
very
is-
nutty.
I do. I love all those sort of
I'm
food.
cray
There I go.
cray.
I naturally
She's
kind of
nutty.
love most of the time. I do
So,
everything
sorry,
with
nuts.
all
What
good
was the other
food. I love
thing?
it.
Nuts, seeds, dark green leafy vegetables.
Blueberries is too,
yes.
is it?
Well,
Berries is
blueberries
more.
not so much magnesium,
yeah.
but
Nuts,
your
what-
magnesium-rich foods. When you're eating a diet of real whole foods, you should be consuming a lot of magnesium. However, magnesium and many other nutrients are leached in our soils these days. But think about your seeds, your nuts.
When
your
you say
dark leafy
seeds, I'm not going to eat a seed. You mean like a pumpkin?
like
a tiny
pumpkin
little seed, I'm
seeds,
thinking.
sesame
Okay.
seeds. Just
Pumpkin,
sprinkle those
yeah.
on
Chia
your yogurt,
seeds, you know, all
cheese
those
I'm
sort of
having
things,
chia
yeah.
in the morning now.
That's
So
sort
pumpkin
of-
seeds, nuts. What else for magnesium?
and
Banana.
lots of dark green leafy vegetables. Bananas are
Because I'm
fine.
obsessed, but I'm part monkey. I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
I
it's got your
love
potassium,
nannies.
isn't that
Yes.
right? It's interesting when you're saying with magnesium because with Lee Holmes, our mutual friend who's been who's on the very first podcasts, really, in the early days. I remember when Diane had asked her a question, I've never forgotten it, about, feeling like something more sweet at night or whatever, and then she was sort of saying, you might need a bit more magnesium, and she said, and I think you just might need a hug.
She said the human race.
And she said, and I remember, never forget it, and she just said, so what's your take also with the emotional thing as well?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I always eat more when I'm emotional.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And you can't pull one apart from the other.
No,
Anybody
good
that's just
question
talking
to
about
bring
the
up.
physical body and not talking about the mental body, though the days of that kind of doctor or psychiatrist talking about that is going to be long gone soon. We actually have an emerging field called nutritional psychiatry, which is really interesting.
Wow.
Which talks a lot about mental health, physical health, and how it's wrapped around each other. And of course, everyone is talking these days about the gut mind, the gut brain biome, and the two-way superhighway, which is incredibly important. Brings me back to chia seeds, and chia seeds having a really good gut.
Be regular.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes,
Keep it regular.
isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. But we know if our gut is in a really good, healthy, sturdy space, we know that also that minimizes risk factors for depression, anxiety, and mood disorders.
Now, listeners, can you just repeat? Because I think this is the crux of everything in our world and our society is the gut. Just repeat what you just said about the power of the gut, how it affects you mentally, physically, spiritually. Everything centers from the gut.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Gut instinct,
Yeah,
isn't it?
100%. And I think you said in one of your books or somewhere I read where you were saying about serotonin, which I call the happy chemical.
Yes.
Like, am I right that 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut?
And remember years ago, Di, people used to say when they were
Like-
talking about anxiety and depression, they'd point to their heads, right? But I say to everybody, no, point to your gut.
Wow.
Because 90% is made here. And when we're eating real whole food that's clean and not heavily processed, we know that we are maximizing the opportunity for all these gut bugs to go, man, we're happy. And also this brain gut superhighway creating these neurotransmitters of serotonin, the happy hormone, the very thing that we're going to our doctors to get SSRIs. Now, I'm not against modern
Can
medicine.
you tell the listeners what that is?
Okay, so so an SSRI is an anti-anxiety
mental health. Great.
or
Yeah.
an anti-depression
Yeah.
drug.
Yeah,
Now,
okay.
I'm not against modern medicine whatsoever.
No.
But if we have the potential in ourselves by what we eat to maximize our serotonin, that is amazing. That still gives me chills. In fact, this is just going a little bit nerdy on you guys, but
We love it. We like it scientifically backed as well, because some people still go,
No,
look,
you're
really
right.
in the gut,
Yes.
come on.
But you said it, the gut instinct.
It's the gut instinct,
instinct,
or you feel sick, you're
Listen,
nervous, it all
listen.
comes to your
Feel
tum-tum.
it, listen.
Absolutely. And we're only in the infancy of what the research is talking about with this. Deakin University, I love that.
Now, tell us about the mood
The
food.
smile trial. I
Yes.
love this.
So you'll see, I dedicate a lot of my proceeds to my speaking engagements as well as my books to Deakin University, because it's really important as a speaker, as an author, to be speaking from an evidence-based perspective, or other people go, oh, she's a bit woo-hoo, or she's got fake news, right?
Yes.
So I love the fact, but Deakin University has a study out. It's called the Smiles Trial.
love
how
it.
aptly named.
Yes.
And it is a 12-week study just using real whole food from Coles and Woolies, where they got such significant results with people who were suffering from major depression. They were so significant and so positive, they had to rerun that trial, and the whole entire world has a spotlight on that trial because 12 weeks, real whole food, not expensive. Boom. Wow.
Hey, this is rare. I'm speechless over this. Seriously.
No, I was
But I'd also like to hear,
like,
Michelle, too, you're saying from Coles and Woolies too, so you don't always have to be organic. Because a lot of people
Exactly.
now, and it's tough
paranoid,
times out there.
yeah.
A lot of people, it's
true.
expensive buying food, as we all know.
I agree. I'm glad you said that, actually.
So
because-
can you still do it? It's not
that's
going to
important.
cost a fortune either.
I think that's the most impressive thing about the study is that it wasn't a long-term study, and it was from food that was accessible and easy to make.
Right.
If it is easy, it is accessible, and it's affordable, then it becomes repeatable. And when something is repeatable, instead of feeling like punishment and it feels like nourishment, all of a sudden you do it for 1 week.
I love that.
You do it for the second
that's so
week.
good.
The third week, you're sleeping
the
better.
momentum's going, isn't
loving
it?
that.
And that's what
loving
happens.
it.
So give us an idea, a basic idea of what went on down there in Deakin University with the food they were consuming from Woolies.
And what age group were they studying with people?
The demographics of the people in the cohort study were all people who had been diagnosed with major depression. Wow. So again, this is super interesting.
I didn't think that would be the case.
I know.
Okay, now you've extra blown me away.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the interesting thing about this study, and it comes back to something we spoke about earlier, right, is that weight is not a measurement of well-being. So the people in this study did not necessarily lose weight, but boy, did they gain vibrancy. Did they gain their ability to want to exercise again, to connect with people again, to feel joy in their life again? Like, how cool is that, right? So what did they eat on this?
Yeah, like ballpark, like, you know, like,
you tell
I'm
us,
thinking
tell us
carrot
some good
juice,
food.
not.
No,
right?
no,
I'm going,
Doc,
okay,
no.
hit me with it.
No, like eggs for breakfast and a piece of dark grain bread or roast vegetables from the night before. They weren't weird things, but some sliced avocado, a good quality porridge, blueberries, raspberries that might have been frozen and are defrosted, added to your yogurt. Lunchtime, okay, open up a can of chickpeas and maybe some of the vegetables that you had from the night before.
Chickpeas.
Okay.
Give me something else.
Give her a few months and she'll be into the chickpeas.
A can of tuna, right?
You're naughty, Muriel. You're terrible, Muriel. So go on, I'm loving this. So canned stuff. Wow.
Stuff.
Yeah. What about canned
stuff.
salmon, for example?
Yeah, canned salmon.
Really?
Totally fine.
Okay.
And
It's small amount. People are buying that, and you go, why not? If it's just going to be good nutrition and protein and a balance,
sure.
I guess.
And I always say this. People ask me, Michelle, do I need to buy grass-fed? Do I need to buy organic?
Yeah.
Well, in a perfect world, if we were all billionaires, yes, would we be doing that?
Exactly.
But meet your health where you're at. Don't aim here. Don't aim so high, because that is the exact reason why people aren't stepping in to the space of well-being, because their fear is that they have to start with a bar that's up here. Well, of course, you're setting yourself up for failure. If you start in a place that is easy, affordable, accessible, tasty, and you start doing it week by week, and you're like, hey, I'm kind of doing this thing. I'm sleeping better, I'm moving better, I'm feeling better. People on the road are nicer to me. No one's being nice to you. You're just being nicer to yourself, right?
Oh, I love that.
Another boom moment.
Yeah, well
it's true,
said.
isn't it?
And it's funny, we're going back to my question about energy, and you were saying, no. Everyone calm down, baby steps, because it won't happen.
Yes.
You'll get overwhelmed. And hence that guilt factor. So many people are walking around with just guilt written on their heads. I shouldn't be, I should be, I ought to be, I should be, I shouldn't be, I ought to be. And you go,
women.
Yeah, particularly women. And
yes,
to be
yes.
And also
because of the mirror factor.
And how do you be kind to yourself? Like, it sort of tips out there, when you're sort of feeling like what you're saying, I mean, people sort of feeling guilty or bad or stuffed up here and
how do you overcome that?
Lost hope. How do you be kind?
I use this expression all the time, #no guilt. We're spending so much time in that negative circle, right? That negative feedback circle. I mean, as women, we're particularly good at this, right? We come home from work, we're frazzled, we've got a million things going on. We might not knock back a couple of Pinots or a couple of gin and tonics. Then we eat too
Vodka
much.
tonics,
We
right?
become the human vacuum.
It's got an aura.
Yeah, right.
No.
And we do all these things, and then the next day, what do? We beat ourselves up. I'm not going to eat until 12 o'clock, and then all of a sudden by 12 o'clock, you're chewing your fingers off. You want to kill somebody. You have road rage, right? And then you go and do
all of this.
We do all of this all the time. So I think we really, as the human race, but particularly females, and I would say females even starting at 13 to 90, #no guilt.
Okay, #no guilt.
Yeah, that's a really important thing. But I also want to just go back, and get a little bit granular on energy. because that is a key topic
Yeah.
of 2025. And really,
Because if I don't have
really
the energy, I
important.
go for the naughty things too.
Absolutely. It's
And then
easy
the
for
guilt.
us to slip into that. But I see one of the biggest energy zappers. If I was going to pick one thing about nutrition to focus on with regard to energy, it's about eating some protein, some fat, and some smart carbs throughout the day. And when you're eating meals like that, right, that have all three of those kind of components in it, and we'll talk about what that looks like in a minute. When we're eating a breakfast like that and a lunch like that, well, guess what? At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're buzzing.
Right.
You still are connecting. You are still communicating. You are still articulate. You still got vibrancy in your eyes.
There's no brain crash.
There's no brain fog.
Yeah, fog.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no brain fog because a lot of people, 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, busy people in particular, who eat a bird-like lunch, like a salad with, some olive oil on it, go, oh, look at this, it's full of antioxidants. Well, guess what? That's lunch for a bird, not for a thinking human. Right? So I want people to be thinking about, where is a bit of protein? Oh, yeah. So what ends up happening at 3 o'clock for those people that eat like birds is, of course, 3 o'clock, they're looking for their triple shot latte. They're looking for their banana muffin that's the size of a doorstop that has like 12 teaspoons of hidden sugar in it, right? And what happens is when we're consuming a lot of this hidden sugars in healthy-looking muesli bars or healthy-looking smoothies that are loaded with hidden sugars, we get the high, and then as high as we go is as low as we go. And that energy crash is really, really big part of what is happening to people many times throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. And these types of energy lows are also consistent with blood sugar swings and insulin issues, which has a knock-on effect to so many other metabolic things that are happening inside the body. So,
including mental health.
So then it's your mood, your mental health. Then I guess then it's your physical. That's when you can get diseases and sick and the whole thing, because it all sort of builds up.
You know what intrigues me is she's talking about brekkie and lunch, I gather here. Like, because sometimes I'm a bit naughty, I will skip brekkie and or miss lunch, and don't I get desperate?
She gets desperate, you do.
Because that's when my body craves food.
I get shaky, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I've been with Diane.
And then I'm like...
Well, hangry. My son gets hangry.
I like to have a lighter dinner. So tell me about breakfast, for example. How important is breakfast? Let's put it that way.
Well, let's just talk about when you're at that bottom of that blood sugar, right? When you have that hangry, you're shaking, you have brain fog.
Yep.
Are you the best version of yourself? Absolutely not. What you're going to do is you're going to go find a vending machine, knock into it, and hope a chocolate bar comes out, right?
Or some snakes.
Exactly.
I'm a snake guy.
I know. I can say this from 100% with my hand on my heart, because that was me in all my life at Microsoft. Right. I was always having the skinny person's lunch, right? But let's just talk about a simple breakfast. It can be yogurt with some berries in it and some chia seeds sprinkled on top.
My breakfast.
Right?
But you mentioned in somewhere I read that you say, but read the label on yogurt, because some yogurts have sugar in it.
Well, that's right, Di. And that's when I say, I emphasized earlier, healthier foods, right? So there's a lot of healthy looking foods that have an abundant amount of hidden sugar in it. So I want people not to get granular and crazy about food labels, because I don't like that. I'm Italian. I want to bring back the love of food.
Italian food.
We love that.
My favorite.
Yeah. But just being somewhat aware of how much added sugar we are consuming. So, you know what? Get some plain yogurt. Add a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of honey and maple syrup.
Love that.
Because you won't be adding the 10 teaspoons that the manufacturer is normally putting into flavored.
Hold on. 10, hold on, my brain hurts. 10 teaspoons.
10, usually 7 to 10 are in flavored yogurt.
I know, well, yeah.
Like we feed the babies and the kids these damn yogurts.
In many smoothies, healthy looking smoothies, blueberry blast, healthy smoothies. 22 teaspoons of added sugar.
No.
Yes. Okay, hold on. Most muesli bars, usually 6 to 8 teaspoons of added sugar. Healthy Bliss Balls, 6 to 8 teaspoons of sugar.
Stop.
Vitamin water, 6 to 8 teaspoons of sugar. Those drinks, those monster drinks and all those energy drinks. 8 8 to 14 teaspoons of sugar. A can of Coca-Cola, a chai tea or a green tea from Starbucks, 10 teaspoons of added sugar. I know a lot about this because my first book was Beating Sugar Addictions for Dummies.
Wow.
Right, so I've been talking about
I believe Sarah
sugar.
Wilson actually got you are her guru, really.
She was so
lovely.
kind because I remember Wiley Publishing calling me and saying, Michelle, you need to write this. Would you be interested? And I said, no. I think my friend Sarah was a colleague of mine at the time.
Yeah.
And I said, I think Sarah Wilson should. They go, well, actually, we just got off the phone with Sarah. She said, you're the only one that can write this book.
Yeah,
very nice.
No, that's really wonderful.
So you're also saying that we consume up to 36 teaspoons of sugar in a day. What other things have we got to be wary of? So I'm just freaked out.
I know.
Okay, this has freaked me out.
All right, so
give me examples of what else would have sugar.
And you know what? The thing is, we should be freaked out because
that freaks me right out.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the World Health Organization, not Michele Chevalley Hedge, but the top researchers, neuroscientists, oncologists, gastroenterologists, the top researchers in the world know that the maximum amount of sugar that we should have for a healthy mental function, emotional function, and physical function is 6 added teaspoons a day. However, most people probably even listening to this podcast that are healthy people could be consuming, I'd say, 30 to 36 teaspoons a day. Now, let's put a pause on that for a second. 6 versus 30 to 36 a day. Would any of us out there take our pharmaceutical medication or a Panadol and take it 5 times the amount every day, every week, every month? Or do we realize that that can have ramifications that perhaps we don't see outside, but are happening inside with the blood sugar fluctuation,
cravings,
insulin issues, cardiovascular risk factors, cancer, just cancer in itself, risk factor from being overweight or obese. There's 16 different types of cancers with risk factors to being overweight or obese. So, I mean, I could go on and on here. You see how I could talk forever about
everyone
all this?
listening
so read your label on your
like
product you
nearly,
buy.
it's the good, real reminders of sometimes it is a simple thing that you go to the supermarket, you grab a yogurt, and now it's, I think, we are getting a little bit more educated, and it's good to hear this again and again, Michelle, of then you can eat and get the right things, but, just be careful of those hidden ones there. And now what about with, and water's so important too, because we just don't drink enough of that, do we?
Yes,
so I do. I'm a thirsty fish.
I try to do tea, but I'm going to go back to Rupos.
But you know what? We also, there's so much we want to talk about that. But as I said, I'm a bit of a sticky beak, and I'd like to know that. I want to go sex, but I want to quickly know a little bit about, the chick from Microsoft. I mean, it must have been amazing. And we were with Bill Gates at that time. So I mean, and then
Steve Jobs is that
Apple.
Oh my
God! Come on, tell us a little bit about that. And then what did you marry her? Did you fall in love with her Aussie, or how did? Tell us a bit more about your story about you. Come on.
I can sum it up very quickly. I was working for Microsoft. I was doing my master's in the evening on computer technology. Somebody called me. They said, "Hey, Michelle, would you speak at a conference and talk about how computers could be used in the classroom?" And I mean, can you imagine people listening to this, or the young people? They'd be like, it's sort of like us talking about AI now, right? Being used in the world. Anyway, in 1990, I arrived to speak at a conference in Sydney. In 24 hours, I fell in love with a man and a country.
We love a love story.
I had a girlfriend that had a similar story.
Wow.
And I'm still with that man 34 years later.
Boom.
Stephen.
Isn't that so lovely?
Oh, I love the most Aussie.
The man doesn't really even like vegetables. This nutritionist has to say.
Meat pies, kangaroos, and Holden cars. I love
funny.
it.
He's funny.
Well, aren't we lucky,
smuggler.
to get you here? I just wanted to know a bit about how that happens, and Microsoft, back in the day too, is incredible.
What was the book you brought in? Oh, here it is.
Eat,
Drink, and Still Shrink. This book, I just had a quick
that one, and then the
breeze
healthy
through
hormone one too.
I love it. Someone was talking about. She was a sexologist. I think you were guiding her.
Nikki
I just quickly
Goldstein.
read
I think
that.
we love that in the book as
she
well
says,
too.
I feel sexy in my body. as I feel healthier because I'm not bloated and tired anymore. So basically what she was saying, which is really great because, it's like, I've been some, I've slimmed right down, I can look in bikini, I feel smooth and flat, whatever. No. She feels, right on. Sorry, guys, you didn't see that. She was pointing to her head. So
we're on YouTube, so you can tune in and watch it now.
Mentally, she felt healthier and consequently sexier. Now, I love this.
I love you brought this up,
It's like
Jo,
a reverse sort of indicator to happiness and the reflection in the mirror, as we were discussing previously. But talk us through that, like we all look in the mirror, I need to lose more weight, or I need to
a lot of our people, they're getting into new relationships again, or marriages fallen over, or everyone's trying to revamp something with a husband of 30 years, and they suddenly got really real sexy.
So I love the way you pointed
So what do you say? What does she say to help us
Tell us
with
about
this?
Oh, it's not just what Nikki says, but I would say thousands of women who we've helped as an organization move forward. When you start nourishing yourself with food, sleep, exercise, good connection, stress hacks, and that starts to come together for you. And all of a sudden, the self-like comes back. I'm not even going to use the word self-love because for so many people that's too far-reaching. But hey, if you wake up in the morning and all of a sudden you catch a glimpse of yourself and you're like, I'm doing all right today. When you've got that feeling, all right is good enough. When you're bringing back that gravitas, you're bringing back that humble confidence, of course you're going to feel sexier. Of course you're going to feel more liberated. Of course you're going to be more open-hearted. And that's where the libido conversation comes in. We can
so it's an ongoing beautiful effect.
Absolutely.
How magnificent. I mean, come on. We're coming back to gut, nourishment, self-love, nurturing, the gut.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, Michelle, because especially I was sort of saying with a lot of listeners, as we're sort of starting to age and too, your body is different, your skin hasn't got the elasticity and all those things damn it. But it is kind of nice if you can still go, well, hang on, I'm doing all right, and it's a bit like that self-love there.
I never used to most of my life. Mid-60s, I now go, God, you're looking good.
Sometimes
I used to think that was
now
vain.
or never, Jo. Come on, let's just do it. Let's live life and get passion and energy, and we hope everyone
Someone
else
said something about my body that I went, actually love my body. I've never said that before. How empowering in my mid-60s to say that. I really do. I look in the mirror and go, God, you're looking great, Di. And I used to think that was naughty and egotistical and, you're so full of yourself. You could never say that. And now I say it and it really empowers me.
And you know what, Carolyn Swindle, who was on, what was the podcast, No Dribble, as well too. She was saying, I think she's in her mid-50s now.
Yeah.
And she also, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self? And she said sort of like really to love herself more. And she said, I actually feel more confident in my body now as a woman in my mid-50s.
Isn't this great to hear?
And so really it's so nice for all the listeners here, we're always forever changing. And like coming back to the very start, we're I know it's a bit kind of corny, but it's the real thing. We're lucky to be alive. And we want to make the most of what we've got. We always need encouragement because we can all feel flat at different times.
Very true.
And you need the connections to support. So, Michelle, it's so good hearing this stuff. It's
inside out.
Yeah.
Inside
and we like that little bit of the sex talk. There was saying also, because you also, what about with men? Because sometimes we all know with hormones with women and estrogen and HRT and all these things there. But what happens with blokes? Sometimes they get old. Because, we want to know as chicks. Come on.
Well, you mentioned breast cancer and they get prostate issues.
They do.
Yeah.
They
so
do.
What happens with them?
Let's reframe midlife crisis and the whole pause movement to midlife lift. How about that? Or mid-lift. I actually, do you know Sophie Scott?
Mid-lift. Or breast lift?
Or where are we talking?
But it's just time to lift up. Lift up. Midlife crisis. Midlife lift.
You're our poster girl, Michelle. We're loving this.
Okay, I'm running with this.
So several years ago, I was asked by Pam McMillan to write a book around menopause. And I thought I would write a book called Wise Women Do Pause. And did a lot of research around that. It was before all the menopause movement and was quite interested in that, but I'm not a hormonal doctor. And so there's a time and a space for that. I've already done a book on hormones.
Healthy Woman Diet.
Highly recommend Michelle's books. They'll be in our show notes.
Internal.
But as I went down the path to think about writing this and doing more and more research around this, what I realized was the issue around the pause and things that are happening to us physically and mentally as we come to being over, let's say, 55, whether it's male and female, right? So what I wanted to do...
men was 55, did you say?
Yeah, the age of menopause or pause.
Pause, yeah.
I'm loving how you say it.
Because women are earlier, is that right?
Well, the average age for women is around 52. The average age for men to start having some decline in hormones, or what I call andropause, is usually around 55.
Interesting.
So here's a very interesting concept, and I'd like all the women out there to consider this. Men go through a very similar type of pause. It's called andropause, and andropause will be the topic of my next book.
Wow, so interesting because we don't. Yes.
Well, so just the same way, our estrogen is declining. So our estrogen starts to decline. It doesn't decline like boom completely. It kind of bumps along. So is our progesterone, which is our calming hormone. So that's declining as well, and so is our testosterone. Now we don't have nearly as much testosterone as men, but we use testosterone for our own libido. We use testosterone for our own cognitive function and lean muscle mass. Men use it for everything and have it in much more higher doses than females. But men's testosterone is also declining. And men will talk a lot about the flatsies. As women, we're good at talking about depression and anxiety and getting into the weeds with that. Whereas men...
Sorry, what do men talk about? I missed that.
The flatsies.
And that's true, you know, flat, as in flat, low.
Flat,
you know,
like
I
low.
thought you said seeds. I'm thinking, is that flaxseed?
No, flaxseed. No. And it's so true.
Okay, I hear you. All right, that's fascinating.
So I do a lot of work with large corporations from Amazon to Google to Microsoft.
Glad it's out there.
And all these CEOs, and I will talk to groups of men about andropause, and you'll see them. They'll be like deer in the headlights, and they'll be like, Michelle, I've never even heard this. And these are smart, educated men.
Yeah, of course.
And they'll go, wait a minute, I've never even heard this term before. Tell me about it. Tell us more about it. So I really look forward to sharing a book with well-being tips around andropause and educating men that there's no shame in this. And females, if you know a man, which we all do, give them this book and say, hey, it's okay.
It's so good to hear that because, and also I think also shining the light, because sometimes it's when women have got a little bit of flack on it, sort of like, or in their moods are there, and sometimes men could be a bit critical, going, oh, it's just, going through the menopause or whatever. Well, kind of flip it. There's no judgment for anyone because the poor blokes, but sort of like then going, well, they're going through andropause too. And I guess then there's treatments through getting testosterone boosts and creams and gels and all that sort of stuff. And
and Nicola, the same way, I love the fact how the world has emerged, particularly over the last 5 years, in exploring microdosing of HRT, using bioidentical hormone therapy. And that same thing is happening for men, probably just at a little bit of a slower conversation at the moment until my book comes out. But I love the fact that the world is embracing and underpinning, not only with a well-being toolkit, but using some modern medication. Oh, I could tell you, I could write thousands of books and stories.
Well, you don't have to write it. You're telling everyone here.
Hours and hours and hours.
You know what Mum used to say to me? Mum used to say to me, "You are what you eat." When I was young, isn't it? And is it not true?
Well, I think it's
literally
how I
body, mind, spirit.
But yes, and what you eat with your eyes, what you eat with communication, what you eat with everything, all that nourishment.
Mind, appreciation, sometimes those little nudges I really like, Michelle.
I just got one quick question because I know we're running out of time.
Just one forever.
When you said the 36 teaspoons, because I'm obsessed by it, of sugar, does that include fructose from consuming fruit? Like essentially?
No, when we talk about added sugar, it's a very good question. When we talk about added sugar, we need to be very defined about this. The sugar in fruits and vegetables
is a whole different
bring on, baby.
Great.
We love those.
Okay, that makes me happier because I love fruit.
Yes.
Great. Yeah. Okay, so I'm only doing
and then the
100
yogurt you put on, you just don't put on those
teaspoons
sugary yogurts on top. Just get the natural stuff, which
I love how you brought up about that, what you said about that sugar craving. And most people do. Yeah. They have a meal, they want a little nibble on something.
And just look, I have to ask, I know with them, I still have to ask because it's the buzz thing around. And
we're always in trouble, always running over.
Yeah, and we had Sarah DeLenzo, and she was sort of kind of against it, but same sort of thing with Ozempic, because now now it seems to be sort of kind of getting mainstream, a bit like maybe even Botox or something.
Just quickly, what's your
take on it?
I did a story recently before Christmas with ABC on Ozempic, and I think the reporter was so shocked. He's like, Michele, you're a nutritional medicine practitioner and you're in favor of Ozempic? And I said, let's be clear. We haven't seen all the research on this, but if people are using a GLP-1 under the guidance of a good GP, and that is making them feel good about themselves and going to give them a launch pad into a healthy life physically and mentally, well, this is when we say thank God for modern medicine. However, there's one thing that the Australian government could do with that. If a GP is giving those scripts for GLP-1s, why not combine it with some kind of counseling, whether that is life counseling, health counseling, or nutritional counseling, so that when people finally wean off that GLP-1, that they've been underpinned with more of a well-being toolkit.
Love that.
Like
so
Sam,
you're not just
producers got, with your one, with Mind Gym too. It's a great thing combination. I think that that's sort of something that with getting that sort of support there, it's just a great way of doing it. I think that's fantastic. Well, thank you, because I want to know your.
I've actually made notes all through that.
Because I know when we had with Johan Hari, he was on it, and he's sort of like, and they're saying also there's benefits also with dementia and a whole lot of things too. So
I think we're going to see massive positive research come out.
Wonderful. So funding for a whole lot of things, and I love it. It's all a balance. And so did you want to start with the signature question? We've got a few ones
want to ask
Michele.
This one for Michele.
Okay.
If you had the chance of meeting someone over the back fence, someone fabulous that you could just maybe pull up a little chair with a cup of tea or sit on the fence and swing your leg.
Tea.
Who would you like to meet down there?
Oh, I'm such a people lover. This would be
You're
too hard of a question. I love
You're Capricorn. That's all right.
Sea of people, but I did think about this question because I didn't know that you asked that.
Did you say a sea of people? I love that.
I love a sea of people.
I love that.
I love people.
Because I love the sea and I love people.
She loves people. You find your tribe, don't you?
So true.
I'm not sure. I don't have grandchildren yet, but maybe if I had grandchildren, maybe I'd like them to be over my back fence, because I'd like Stephen, my husband, to teach them humor and for me to be able to feed them. I don't know.
Wow.
That have
gorgeous,
very healthy micro.
And wouldn't they be lucky having a gorgeous,
and they'd be happy as
a gorgeous glamour like you to be? And this one is already, she's just become a glamour again now. So got a boy and a girl, which is great. I'm loving this question to ask you, Michele. And that's my middle name, by the way.
Michele with one L or two?
I've got the two, but still. No, I'm not a Capricorn, but I'm a Michele, so we blend there. No, I'm an Aries, so watch out. What makes you happy?
It's like asking me who I'd like to share a back fence with. What makes me happy? I think maybe I've read the foreword of my book, Eat, Drink, and Still Shrink, and about my younger brother dying. What makes me happy is being alive. And that sounds so cliche, but I'm a bit like a Jack Russell. I see everything shiny, and I'm excited about everything. And I feel so grateful to live in Australia. I feel so grateful for my profession, my friends, my people. I feel
you've got
grateful.
Good gut micro.
You certainly do.
She's
and
happy.
But, also when you do, and people out here too, many of us have lost either with siblings or people very close to us, and there's a grieving process, but it's lovely when you can go to the gratitude, and I'm sure he'd be so proud of you, and here you are sort of bringing that up. So, so what was your brother's name?
Gregory.
Okay. Yeah,
oh yes, he would be.
When I say his name, because he's always in memory, and he's really proud of you.
Would you like to ask the next question?
The lucky last one. You throw it.
I'll throw it.
Yeah.
If you had the opportunity of meeting your 21-year-old self, what would you say to her and why? Where were you when you were 21?
New York.
Were you? You were in New York?
Yeah, working, studying, doing the grit. What would I say?
Any words of advice or wisdom?
Add more joy. always add more joy.
Add more joy.
Add
Well,
more
you've
joy.
certainly added joy to us, to all our listeners, Michelle. And we
you're
want to get you back, and
beautiful.
especially when that new
Love
book
it.
is out as well.
Love it all.
So
relative
and I
to
think
all
you're
of
going to come
us.
to our event, which is going to be
Yes.
June 19th, which
Yes.
will be so much fun. It'll be
Yes,
just.
if
You
Looking
want
forward
tickets,
to it.
guys?
Great.
It's on
Yes, you'll be
over the
great.
Back Fence Instagram.
Yeah, you can get the links there.
Yeah.
And so, everyone, thank you for listening. And you can watch us on YouTube. Don't forget to rate and review, share it. This one, I'll share it with everybody. Di has her own star system, isn't she?
Because
She
you're
really
going to
does.
laugh when you hear what I'm going to say.
Because we like the
the
5
ratings
stars,
is
the
5
rating.
out of 5, right?
Yeah.
When you go, and they go on to
I know what you're going to
Apple,
say, I
don't
reckon.
they? And they rate.
How many teaspoons
I
of...
can't believe it. Give me a high five.
Do we know each other
I
well?
can't believe you said
We
that.
follow it. We can say it.
36, because I'm
I know, I
absolutely
knew it.
stupefied. 36 out of 5.
Sugar.
That's what I give Michelle.
Ooh, everyone. I
so
second
funny.
that. That's true. Thank you for listening. We're back here.
Look forward to it, guys.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.